How are
Hey,
you guys on this Friday night?
doing all right. How about y'all?
It doesn't feel like a Friday, I'm going to be honest. I had to
Yeah,
double check to make sure today was the day.
yeah, it's all been a Friday.
Yeah. Got a few people in the room. Say hello if you want some interaction. In the meantime, today we're going to be discussing who is better, A24 or Blumhouse. So this is the all out. Lay it all out.
Oh, A24 is like marginally just better. Like they didn't have the 5 year head start that Blumhouse did with putting stuff out, but they just average better with the amount of good stuff they'll make versus bad.
Yeah, I never really looked into how long up this goes. How long A24 has been around.
Yeah, because I mean, if we're just going to just get like one of their first horror movies, or
Mm-hmm.
it's
Which
just
was the Witch?
because The Witch was like 2015 or something like that, and I think Tusk came before. But
Yeah.
it's just it like Blumhouse has had more time to make better movies. But even if we count like the Whiplashes and the Black Klansmans and the Gifts and all those other and Uncut Gems and stuff, then A24 still slightly has it. But they all make great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is true because I never really, I never realized how much A24 I have watched in the past that wasn't horror related. So they have been around for some time. I'm not quite sure how long, but new, fairly new to the horror genre.
Yeah,
But
because
Blumhouse,
what was because yeah, if we're looking at Paranormal Activity as the first blueprint, as the first footprint that they made, then that was like 2009. So it's just like that's a lot of time.
I just recently rewatched the first four,
Yeah,
and it's
that,
like this so long. It's unnecessary. It should have been just a sitcom, like a Twilight Zone kind of thing.
you can
The
tell.
last 30 minutes are the only part that's worth watching in those movies.
Yeah, you can tell that Jason Blum just kicked himself in the ass for not getting Blair Witch Project by the amount of times that he'll revisit that paranormal franchise. They're fun, but it's just story wise, they're like it's fucked up in the order to watch it correctly.
There's a lot of dead time redundancy. It's almost
Yeah.
like it reminds me like a highlights magazine cover where you're staring at it, but they're showing the camera the scene, so you're like, "There's something we're missing here. There's something going on. Am I seeing it?"
Yeah.
Things
It's
like
not the audio jump scares where it's loud or just they're
mm-hmm.
always going to get me no matter what because it flashes you back whenever you fall asleep in class and your teacher just goes like that. It's the same thing. It's just and then it's over. It's past. It's not scary anymore.
Definitely.
I actually I actually hadn't seen the first Paranormal Activity until this event came up. I
What'd you
just
What'd you think
I
of it?
wasn't interested. I like the second one better than the first one.
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
has got it.
I actually like the
yeah.
third one because it just got really weird near the end, and it didn't seem like a Paranormal Activity
That
movie
was
at all
Hmm.
by the end.
that was the first paranormal I saw, and what was it was like a premiere or something for it. And since the kid in the movie's named Hunter, also like I had her like just talking about the main actor's time like Dick, and she was like, "Hey Hunter, nice name," and I was like, "Oh."
So, William, I guess the Gore Hound has arrived. He's saying hello. Scott's joined us. Thanks for joining, Scott, as always.
Okay.
Vincent is a fan of Phantasm, I see.
Oh, hey.
I'm a fan
I
of
know.
everything she's got going on right now. Like, yeah,
Got my Mad Monster shirt from working at the store. I'm pretty stoked.
yeah,
It's all like Freddy themed, though. So it's a Freddy themed Mad Monster shirt with the cardigan. And then you got the hat.
Yeah, and then even my suspenders have like blood stains on them. So like,
that's cool.
hey, I was
And
going for it.
it's like it reminds me that Blumhouse never got the Friday the 13th movies, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I do wish that they would stop writing on these reboots and stick with just some original content.
It's like Spawn might be cool, but otherwise I'm out on the reboots and stuff.
Yeah, it's time for some original stuff, and I don't know what everybody's so scared of. I guess is the investment, losing their money.
Yeah, so that's why Dracula and Wolfman movies with Ryan Gosling are coming. And, yeah.
Well, I think The Hunt was kind of on that original, sort of a little on that original tip. And again, that's one that I didn't watch until this event came up, and I freaking loved it. I took Green Inferno off my top 5 list and put The Hunt in there instead.
Oh,
I liked it a lot
not
more.
to bring Inferno out, huh?
Yep.
I'd have to say personally, like if we're pitting A24 against Blumhouse, it is a tough fight because the catalogs are so uneven. So Blumhouse kind of gets them on that regard. They don't have as many titles, so
Yeah.
it's very hard to beat that.
And that's what I meant when I averaged it better. It's just Blumhouse had vastly so many more movies that I was just like going by, like just adding up what I think of each movie and dividing it by how many movies each studio made, and it's like it's hard because they've made so much fun stuff, but also like not fun stuff.
You're gonna make 20 movies. There's bound to be a dud in there. I'm assuming Kobe is referring to Hunter as far as looks a bit like less playful.
Oh,
that's pretty awesome.
oh.
William says, "Yeah, I was really getting into the paranormal movies until they took a wrong turn somewhere and left me behind wondering what happened."
Yeah.
I haven't watched past 4, and it was funny because I never watched them in order, so I never really paid close attention to how everybody was related to the first 4. It followed the same family, essentially.
Yeah.
And then when I read the synopsis after the 4th one, it didn't seem like they followed that anymore. So it seemed like they should have just changed the title and started a different franchise instead of writing the Paranormal Activity title name.
After a while, it just becomes where does the first one begin and where does the second and the last one end, and it's just.
And again, they would have been fined 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes are always only the parts of those movies worth watching because that's when everything's escalated.
It would have been nice if there could have been that seamlessness like in the Insidious movies, like the first 2 Insidious movies, how those seamlessly come together, and even the Annabelle movies, how those seamlessly come together. I really appreciate that.
Well,
I know they
find a little plot hole that they missed. Annabelle Comes Home, between The Conjuring and Annabelle Comes Home, the timeline doesn't match, and I think it's even notated because they're bringing the doll home. The daughter's older. In Annabelle Comes Home. The doll's already at the house in The Conjuring, so I was like, wait. I had to like Google and put on my detective hat and be like, it's like it's unfortunate because the kid had grown the past 2 years before the Annabelle Comes Home, but I think the synopsis basically tells you that there was a little bit of a timeline miss there when they made these movies.
That's true. It's better between the prequel, which was Annabelle. Oh my God, how do I forget it? I love that movie. But the prequel,
the creation, I don't remember.
Annabelle Creation.
I mean, I avoid Annabelle Comes Home. So, I mean, I can overlook that, but I just found that interesting because, like, wait, the doll's just now coming home to the house? Like, it was already there in The Conjuring. So I had to look, and everybody, of course, makes those lists, like the correct order to watch that universe from The Nun and then all the way down. And it's always notated that, there is a little bit of a timeline indifference. But that's just expected. I don't know if they premeditated, like, this many sequels happening. So it might seem like, well, we can make it work, and hopefully people can forgive that.
I'm cool with that initial Annabelle spinoff not happening and everything else just staying there.
I wasn't a big fan of La Llorona. I can't even
I forgot they did that. They just had a La Llorona movie that just...
It had a lot of potential when you read what it was going to be about, and then that I love any horror movies that are set in the 70s and the soundtrack, and I was like, okay. I just really, there was no character development. I felt no connection to the characters. Therefore, I didn't care what happened in the movie. So,
that was so disappointing. I don't know if either of you are Latino and grew up hearing about La Llorona, but that was the most terrifying story when I was a kid. And, that's how my mom would keep me in line. Oh, La Llorona's going to come and get you and stuff. Oh. So it's like, such promise. And then what happened? It was so disappointing. I love Linda Cardellini, but no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that was definitely a miss for them for that universe.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because like you said, I have friends that have strong Latino backgrounds, and they're looking very much forward to that. Just on that, they're just proud that something was finally like Latino based in
Yeah.
horror, and it was a dud. And it's unfortunate because
But I feel like the La Llorona movie they have on Shudder like picks those pieces up and does it right. Like,
oh really?
yeah, it's well done, and it's like the best court scene I've ever seen in a movie is in the first 15 minutes. It's crazy to think that like Shudder put that out. Like they've been coming around recently.
I think
Oh, cool.
I think they sense that there's a demand for it, so why not step up? More streaming platforms are putting out movies. Why can't they?
Totally. Yeah.
And if you're gonna do it right.
Mhm.
I have one of those original Raggedy Ann dolls with a turnkey on the back that plays music. I was
Yeah.
never a doll fan as a kid, and those things really freaked me out. Like I never really owned a doll growing up because even without watching any movies to influence that, I just didn't understand why someone would want to hold a miniature version of themselves.
It,
So
my grandma was like the cheap wish version of Mary Shaw from Dead Silence, just dolls everywhere, and just
I love that movie.
I think it was a Raggedy Ann there when I was younger. But
La Llorona was not a great movie at all. I had such high hopes just to be let down. That seems to be
yeah,
the unanimous thought for
that
that movie.
um yeah, what was that? I saw a tweet last week about how A24 is getting into TV series now, whereas like Blumhouse has had some time to do that with Into the Dark and stuff, and that's shoddy. But it's like the series that A24 is doing is like it's called Has Been Hotel, like based on that YouTube pilot that they had with it's great. Just watch it if you're a horror fan, Disney musical animated fan. It's great. It's like that's like the first step, I guess, for taking in that.
I think they have it in them. I mean, like I said, they do other genres, and I think that they are affiliated with Euphoria, which is my current favorite show. Uh, so, and it's really dark, but its cinematography is really well done, which is an A24 like
Yeah.
trait. So I have confidence that it might do well. It might be better put together because I feel like Blumhouse has their hands in so many things right now. There's no quality control. They're just like put it out.
It's very I believe that the vault of the bad movies exists just because so many have leaked out of this, and that's another thing Blumhouse is really good at is making the most worst movies. I guess like in between the Bay and the Town That Dreaded Sundown and just all these things like this like, and then also I'm thinking like I need to watch Lords of Salem again after seeing Justine's take on it.
Yeah, I tried. I mean, like I tried looking for it, and I have Shutter. And when you Google Lord of Salem, it comes up that it's on Shutter, but I think it was recently taken down because when you go to Shutter, it's nowhere to be found. And I'm like, I'm not. I know I don't like this movie enough to pay to rent it. So
Yeah,
I
we're
guess
okay
I'm
with
gonna have
that.
to go with my gut.
Yeah.
No, if you're in LA, Cinephile is open for rental, but I wouldn't pay money for it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't. I won't do it. I know I don't like it. I don't need to watch it again to verify it.
I tried really hard to like it whenever Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson did that first Twins of Evil tour, and in between the sets they showed the trailer for the movie, and it's still like with the Mozart suite and just all the visuals. I still think Sherry's look in the movie's really iconic, but that trailer got me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this, and then like I had to trick myself into liking it by seeing it 3 times.
Here's a question for Phantasm420.
Oh,
Does Phantasm420 like Cannibal Ferox? I don't know if I'm
uh,
saying it right.
I've not seen it, but I'll rent it if it's available for rental.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of it, so if you want to give us a little rundown, William, we'll be happy to read about it
Mhm.
and maybe discuss it.
I
But yeah,
was super stoked about Lords of Salem too. Like it came
oh,
out the day before my birthday, and me and like maybe 10 friends, we went up to City Walk, and it was like let's have some beers, Rob Zombie, fucking hey, like oh man, oh man,
It's such
so
a
disappointing.
loser. Like at the South by premiere, it's like he showed up. He's like, "Hey, Hope you like this. I was like, oh my god, he's actually here. I have no choice but to like it now. But then halfway, I was just like, dang.
No, it fell apart so fast, and it was just a look of perplexity just stuck on my face. Like, what is happening? And I'm waiting. I'm like, maybe this will all tie together and it will all make sense in the end. And it just got worse.
Yeah.
And then insert the little goblin turkey monster thing.
I was clinging on to because I thought that whole sequence made no sense, but I loved how nuts it was. Like
I was like, this is Lord of Salem's like Dr. Satan.
Yeah.
House of Thousand Corpses goes underground and it gets a little too zany. It's like, okay, now we have Dr. Satan and there's this underground like dwelling, but what the are we watching the same movie? It just changes gears so hard, and that's what I felt happened with Lords of Salem. And I'm like, this must be his thing.
Right.
Just, things in the end just don't make any sense. It's a Hail Mary, and I wanted to like it. I really did, and it was like back to back too, because Lords of Salem wasn't really a fan. 31 was another miss for me. Wasn't a fan, and so I kind of like cooled off on the zombie films because I was like, this is. I wonder if this was a one-hit wonder kind of situation with the Devil's Rejects. After that,
he was put on this earth to make Devil's Rejects. Like, his direction is very. He's like Zack Snyder. It's like the writing abilities. I'm not gonna touch, but just they know what they want in the shot. They know what kind of performances they want. They got pretty good music licenses, and their trailers are always better than the movies.
Yeah, that's something. They're saying something.
Yeah.
Apparently, Cannibal Frox is on Tubi. You can watch it free.
Oh, cool.
It was called Make Them Die Slowly in the U.S. Oh. So
sounds nice.
That was redone in the U.S. Those are always confusing because it's two titles or two different titles, but it's essentially the same movie, but they feel the need to redo it at the U.S. version.
Yeah.
What I can't remember. Was it Let the Right One In?
Oh, right. They have both of those.
Like the Swedish version and an American version, which is confusing.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I liked Let Me In. I liked the American version. I didn't see the original one, but as far as a vampire story goes, I like the idea of a little girl vampire. And she was savage. I loved it.
Mm-hmm. I watched both, and I could appreciate the Swedish one for what it was. I felt like it kind of fit. European and horror to me just kind of go hand in hand. Like it's European with a cold atmosphere. So I thought it was really good.
The connection with the supernatural and other.
It's a quintessential cannibal movie. Cannibal movies are really hit and miss for me. I've never really found myself going, yeah, I really need to watch these cannibal movies.
Green Inferno is a big miss.
That's I'm a fan of his work usually, and it was promising hearing all the talk about people leaving the theater, getting sick, nauseous. I'm like, well, that's a sign of a great movie, and then I hear the reviews are saying the opposite.
Yeah, I showed up because of how much outraged people were and how sick they were, and it's like the designs of some of the cannibals are sweet, but just
Peter says, "Let the right one in." The novel is amazing. Isn't that always how it is? The book is always better than the movie.
Yeah.
But I didn't even know it was a book, so now I know that. Like I've watched both versions, so I would be interested in reading the book.
Disaster Artist was an A24 movie, but I bet the book is better than that too. But
something about books that movies just can't encapsulate, like inner monologues and descriptions. Really sucks you in. There's a new movie on Shudder called Host, and it's incredible. It's about these friends that have a seance over Zoom during the current pandemic, and things happen. I think I saw something about this.
Host is another one where another example of Shudder coming out swinging. Like, we're so sick. We have Zoom fatigue, where just the chat rooms are kind of driving us crazy if we do them a lot. But Zoom just takes that knowledge and your use of Zoom and just gives it a little mic drop in a movie. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Mark was talking about that on the last live stream that I did with him and Sergeant Horror, and he was saying he really liked it. So I definitely want to check that out. And the La Llorona one.
Totally. Yeah. Those are the best two.
Peter says, if you guys could pick a flip reverse, so A24 do a Blumhouse concept and vice versa, what would you want to see?
I already know how this
You
is.
already know?
Yeah, so Wards of Salem, that was the A24 movie. Tusk, that was the Blumhouse movie. If we got in that universe, both movies would have been generally liked more regardless. That's what I think.
Man, that's a good question, because even now going through everything in my head, like I can't even tell you what Blumhouse movie I would see as an A24 film.
Yeah, it's sometimes because like their target audiences or their plots, the way their trailers are, they just are so much the same, which you can't help when you're in the horror business.
I think Creep as an A24 movie would be interesting.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think it would transition. It would definitely have a different feel, probably more ominous and serious than it already was, that would be a very intense movie. I don't know.
There's so many on the Blumhouse list. For the viewers out there, we were given lists of all of the movies. There was 14 movies for A24, and the Blumhouse was like 75 movies or something like that.
Could you imagine how, like, 2018 Halloween as an A24 movie?
Yeah. Well, I know it's not. There's no killers, monsters, or ghosts, but I feel like Whiplash is very much a horror movie to me, just because like it's scary as fuck. Like especially that one scene. What was in Howling Horror Nights? They did a Blumhouse night or whatever, mixed movies. The Whiplash maze. Fuck. Could you imagine a ripped J.K. Simmons throwing instruments at you and speed walking at you through a maze? I don't want to about that.
That would be easily adaptable. I mean, man, they're all melding together in my head, but that was an excellent question, Peter, and I'll have to think on that a little bit more. It might come to me at some point. Have an aha moment.
I think I would like to see, and it's the one that I wrote the review for, but Life After Beth, I'd like to see what Blumhouse could do with that. Because I liked it as it was, but it might have been even more entertaining.
I could see it being more fast-paced.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to see that one.
I like it.
So we got another person that read the novel, and mentioning something that was left out of the film that was in the book about the circle of elderly friends. People read the book will know what I mean. They do that a lot in movies, and I think that's what takes away when you read a book. You're just like frustrated because they'll cut characters out, like not essential. But those characters might have meant something to somebody, that attachment. So I can see that being a thing with this book.
Well, the It chapter 1 and chapter 2 is an example of when they try to get everything from the 1,000-page book into like a movie.
Yeah.
And that's why it had to be put into two movies.
And man, chapter 2 pissed me off. They were right there. It was like, oh man, this is gonna turn the tide. I attended the premiere, and that's actually the first movie is where I met Eben at the premiere at the Chinese theater, and I hated it. I hated that movie. Chapter 2 started out so strong. I was like, oh man, they're gonna redeem it, and I was cursing at my TV by the time the movie was over.
Or I bet even at the screen too, because it was like a premiere stuff. You're going, fuck! No, but second one was goofy, but I liked how goofy it was, like the Goosebumpsy sort of shit with the lumberjack statue. Like,
it's not far off from the original series in that regard. Like they kind of try to hold on to that zaniness. Like, how do you depict a creature not of this world that can transform into your worst nightmares?
Yeah,
and pull it off, but not too serious. Can't be too serious.
But most any other filmmaker, like if you had like a super arty one, they would like if A24 did it, for example, they would shoot away from the monster as much as possible, all reaction shots, all shadows. But I think it works most of the time, and Zoom definitely puts.
I kind of miss that panning away and leaving it to your imagination. As frustrating as it was when you're watching it at the time, like it's very Hitchcock. Like he never really overexposed what was happening. He just kind of let you think, because sometimes your imagination will make up a worse scenario than
it's your imagination against someone else's imagination, and if they're more
Yeah.
up than you, then Ari Aster's gonna get your ass and just go, all right, yeah, that's better than some shit I would imagine. Cool.
With some of the laughable effects that had been in the It movies, some of those laughable CGI effects, it would have been kind of a little better to just, like you guys are saying, pan away and just like, the horror,
I
or
did
maybe even some practical effects. Go old school.
the little baby it at the end didn't do it for you. The shrunken one,
Oh my
scary.
god.
I mean, I like when I first watched it. I too watched it at the Chinese theater, and I was a fan of the casting. I think they did a great job casting. Midway, because it was such a long movie, I started getting a migraine, so I trailed off, and there's like bits and pieces that I was picking and missing. But overall, I could appreciate their adaptation to modern, like to modernize the film, like relatable to today.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's still pretty zany. Like it as a child really made an impact because I watched a lot of horror, and I'm not really the type of kid that would get scared. But I two movies made me not want to take showers, and that was one of them because I always thought I would see Tim Curry's eye in the drain.
and
And
I've
the second movie was The Fly. The Fly. I always pictured that the fly would be behind my shower curtain. But
Ah.
5 or 6 years old, I hated going in the bathroom. Like I just hated the bathtub for those two movies. Like,
yeah, I hated cats because of the Raimi Grudge reboot. Like I was around like I was preteens for sure, but then it's like my grandma had a cat there, and it would look and sounded just like the one in the movie, and it's like, no, fuck cats.
what do you guys feel is the winner in your I guess your perception? A24 or Blumhouse?
Hmm. Oh, I'd say A24 marginally. Like, it's hard because it's like really like Get Out a lot. Really like The Hunt. Really like even though it's none of us like Whiplash and like The Guest is no, it was The Gift. The Gift was like a thriller that I felt that would have been a cooler one to discuss. But just watch it blind. Like it's a fun movie, but yeah, A24's got it.
I'm
What
calling it
about
for
you?
Blumhouse.
Mm.
I
I'm
think
Team Blumhouse too. Although I can appreciate A24 movies, I always leave an A24 horror movie thinking that wasn't really horror. That was more psychological. And
hmm
being an '80s kid, growing up on late '70s, '80s, and early '90s horror, that's horror to me. Even though I know there's some
exactly.
so
Yeah,
like Blumhouse kind of hits the nail on the head for me, satiates that horror kid in me with some of their titles as opposed to A24. It's a bit mature, very highbrow. You can appreciate the cinematography. You can appreciate the movies for what they are. But I don't walk out the theater going, that was scary. Or, how crazy was that? It was just like, that was tense. That's usually my reaction when I leave the A24 horror movies. Like, that was tense and kind of funny.
yeah.
Midsummer to me was kind of funny. Like, we're looking at each
I'm
other laughing. Some of the
Yeah, I'm more uncomfortable and cringing when I'm watching those movies than I am like really kind of scared at all.
mhm.
So, and I that's what I watch horror for. I watch horror to be scared. I want to be scared a little bit and then come home and resume real life, but which is scary enough as it is.
Yeah,
I want to
Which
watch a movie that I have to watch a buffer movie before I go to bed. Like I
yeah.
can't just watch
yes,
one of those and then go to bed and then have like nightmares or dreams. I have to watch a buffer. So I don't feel that with the A24 movies. So I guess that's where Blumhouse takes the case. I
Yeah,
got a question
like
here.
they definitely are the winners of having a good time, like a fun time with
Mhm.
friends. There's the beer of that, and like A24 is sort of a wine kind of.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it because that's campy B horror movies are great watching with groups. You can really just enjoy yourself and get immersed in it and have a good time watching it. Whereas A24 films, you feel like you have to be very serious and pay attention. And it's just you're not having as much fun. There are laughing moments, but there are a lot of tension moments at the same time.
Totally.
You have to dress up to watch those movies like an adult.
my favorite part of your synopsis of the lighthouse is Defoe talking like Captain Krabs or like the like the narrator from SpongeBob.
I'm
That
like,
was amazing.
why? Did he watch a lot of SpongeBob? Like, why is he doing the whole nautical talk? I get it. It's a nautical theme film, but Robert Pattinson wasn't talking like that. Who knows what dialect he was trying to channel?
Yeah,
Uh,
I still go up the bat for that. Like, regardless, just because it's like it's out in the ocean and there's weird sea creature shit. The whole sea dog, like friendship thing. Like, I'm just a
yeah.
sucker for that kind of stuff. No matter how long I have to work to get those moments, but when they come, they just really do.
I mean, the only moment in that movie worth watching was when he has the meltdown about the smells.
Oh yeah, that should have been like.
I was
More,
like, that's the only part I had to rewind it so I could film it so I could send it to people. I'm like, check this out. Like, that's all you need to watch in this movie. This is the only scene that's worth watching.
I think like the tripping moment of him turning into the giant like squid thing. I loved that. I'm like that the whole.
I mean, there were some weird, it's like, okay, so I don't know why you had it out for those birds like you did. I don't know why he was so distressed for 4 weeks.
It makes no sense to me, but it's still like the payoff, the explosion of that whole seagull thing is just hilariously like, what the fuck is this? I love this.
I mean, trust me, I was curious of what was going on with the light.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it just was not enough for me to go, yeah, this movie totally hits all the marks for me. It didn't. Like, I just didn't get it. And I couldn't get immersed because I was too busy distracted with the accent, distracted why he was so upset. He was acting like he was going to be there for a whole year or something. But it was like 4 weeks. Like, really? 4 weeks? That's not that bad, dude. Like, it probably took you that long to get there on the ship. So,
Yeah, it's like if we can't, I can only enjoy like that's because another one because like it's so much like Step Brothers that it's just I can't turn it away on that.
I think you and Dan always bring that up, and it makes sense. It's like The Odd Couple. It's like two roommates that aren't getting along, but except for they're isolated, and there's no other interactions besides the mermaid statue that he's hanging on to and the birds.
Yeah, you could totally see whenever they're like in the bed, like trying to sleep each time. You could totally see that as the "I want you out of my fucking house."
He touched my drum set. Instead of the drum set, it's the light because he was like, "You can't go up there. It's mine."
Yeah, and that was just that visual of his face turning into a light beam. That was like that was worth on its own. That was weird. But, yeah.
And the whole movie can be classified as weird.
Mm-hmm.
Scott says he likes the originality of A24 movies, but Blumhouse wins by volume of their catalog. So many good movies. That it does almost seem like it's almost an unfair fight. Like A24 is the underdog in this fight.
That's in terms of like the quantity, but then it's like that's when you got to take your favorite movies and just average them all together, like based on how each one makes. Because that's the only way to make it measurable. Otherwise, Blumhouse has it.
Blumhouse has it by variety because they offer a horror genre, but there's a variety within that.
Yeah.
Be it like Split or Get Out or The Purge, they all feel different when you're watching them. As A24 just kind of has this brand about them when you're watching them. You can tell it's an A24 movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Will says, "Hey, you guys."
I heard that like from Goonies.
Hey, you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, like even though like Glass is like one of those unforgivably bad ones for me, I saw like a little thing where Shyamalan was saying that Unbreakable and Split were supposed to be the same movie and were the same script at a time, and just I don't know.
I mean, he takes the cake with the longest Easter egg award in my book, because I'm like, my mind was blown with that scene in Unbreakable, and I'm like, how many years was he sitting on that, not saying anything?
To be in an audience with all that that's really enthusiastic and they're Shyamalan fans, it was crazy. It was like being at a fighting game or like a football game. They did that.
He said, I don't know how many years that was.
Because they said like how it worked in Unbreakable was that like Bruce like hits shoulders with James is it McAvoy?
Yeah,
McAvoy.
When he rubs shoulders with James McAvoy, he has visions of like the girls being in the like barred up and stuff. And this is as he's about to go beast mode, and then Bruce Willis goes there as they're about to attack and have like a fight scene.
That was a 16-year-long secret that he was sitting on.
Yeah.
Unbreakable was 2000, Split was 2000. That's a long time to sit on something. Mm-hmm. And just know, like you just wait. When this other movie comes out, it just ties something together. So right up there with, I guess, David Lynch, Twin Peaks, they hold the longest, I feel like, gap between a sequel, like before you find out.
Such artists. I feel like Shyamalan really wouldn't have had that hard a time of getting the money if it was put in front of him. Even despite like Avatar, like I still think he could have gotten the money he needed long ago. But there's just something about today that felt, or yesterday that felt right for him.
It worked because I was a fan of Split. I'm a fan of Glass.
Yeah. Glass is a movie. It's out.
I loved when I watched Split because my boyfriend, he's not a big movie buff like I am. So he'd already seen it and we're watching it together. And when I see the end part of Split, I'm like, oh, I'm losing my mind, going crazy, doing a lap around our house.
Like,
he's like, what?
What's happening? Did I miss something? And it's like,
what's up?
Yeah.
And he hates when I start getting into like there's a picture of like Charlie Day where he's like explaining like the Halloween movies. Like I do that stuff. And my boyfriend's just looking at me like, stop, please stop.
And it's just, especially if the universe of the thing you like is so vast. Like, imagine being a Star Wars fan to someone that's like, what's this? Like, that would be it.
Got Levi in the house. Simon.
Hey, Levi.
He thinks they're both fantastic. So I'm right there with you, Levi. In their own regard. I mean, James McAvoy definitely makes those movies. With how many personalities that he has to embrace.
That's untouchable with how like perfect he is in both movies.
And then when he becomes the Beast, I'm like, what do they have him do to get like all pumped up? I know some of it has to be CGI, but are they like having that dude do 1,000 push-ups before he transforms into the Beast to get all like swole, get the veins popping?
Yeah, I wonder if he rests, if he like is that character the whole day, because I don't know how many days they've had to shoot that thing. But
that is interesting too. Like, do they break down every scene so he doesn't have to go back and forth between each personality?
Yeah,
that would be an interesting behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, back at Levi. So, Levi, since you're in the room, what do you think? Your vote goes towards A24 films or Blumhouse? Let's hear what you think. In the meantime, I was just looking at my list because my tops for Blumhouse were Purge, Creep, Get Out, Split, and Paranormal 3.
I haven't seen Creep, but Creep's good though, yeah?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird movie.
Very weird.
And if you watch the lead, it's even weirder because there's the guy from the league, and he's the tall guy in the show, and he's, you see him as that, and then all of a sudden you're seeing him as this like really strange character in this like movie. And Creep is a perfect title for it because he is an ultimate creep. I have to write I think I have to write an essay on that one.
It's like one snappy thing I'll say about A24. It's like they're like Green Knight was supposed to premiere 6 months ago, and that looks just next level to anything that they've ever done before. It's been 6 fucking months. Like, just release it. I'm not gonna see it in the theater until I get my vaccine, so just put it on the TV. It looks great.
Levi says Blumhouse has a wider variety of films that I've enjoyed over A24. So there seems to be the common agreement here is that because Blumhouse has such a wide catalog, A24 really just can't compete against that.
Yeah, but it's just between the 5-year head start that Blumhouse has had, and just I feel the more open reception of taking in movies, because I'm sure they don't film every single movie themselves. I'm sure to some degree they have an associate producer like bridge the movie or something.
They have to. I don't know how they could do everything.
Because I bet getting a movie by A24 would just seem harder or whatever, because they don't have the trauma style like reach out and be connected with everyone thing.
it's going to be interesting, and Levi's in here. He can chime in with this as well, being in the theater industry, because, like you said, I probably won't be rushing into the theaters anytime soon, which is unfortunate because I also won't be doing at home previews because it's just too expensive for one person. It's like I can buy that in a month or two. I can just buy it and own it for that same price as the home preview. Which makes sense if you have a house, a family, like 5 people watching it. Okay, $30, that makes sense. I'll pay that. But for me to watch it one time by myself, it's just not worth it.
Yeah, especially if you're skeptical about a movie, because it's like if you're not sure if a movie's going to be worth your time or not, then I don't see the problem with just finding a copy online. And if you really love it, then vote later.
Yeah, I would have more animosity towards the movie if I paid that much money and it turns out to be a turd. I'm going to be really irate. Like, wow, you just stole my money.
Yeah, like how many times have we paid to see movies and we're just like, no, give me your refund.
Damn it, Lords of Salem!
They
got to that one in theater, so at least I have that. Levi says he just doesn't feel A24 is a horror studio as a studio that's released a handful of horror films. And I do agree with that because, like I said earlier, I have not realized how many things I've watched that were put out by A24 until after, and I enjoy it. And this was just like regular movies or series.
And yeah, just thematically and genre-wise with the type of stories that they tell that are horror, both companies, like Blumhouse is the thing that's there every day, the object that you see, but A24 thematically and genre-wise just gets those shadows that like of just the weird parts of these things that nobody's gonna make movies about until they do it first.
I mean, that Blumhouse definitely had a lock on Hulu when they were doing those Into the Dark series.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, I was like, how are they doing this? They're still putting out production movies. They're doing all these side projects, and then they're also releasing a movie a month on Hulu for a year. That's 12 films, essentially, that they put out. Not high quality, mind you, but still, that's quite a bit of content.
And like, yeah, that's where they totally get points with just the amount of stuff they make and the amount of time that they get.
Levi's chiming in as far as the previews on demand. Theatrical releases, there are a lot of films that you don't experience with an audience first. It's not as good. And I agree that with horror. Yeah. Horror is one of those you must watch it in a theater. It's a gamble whether you get a good environment or a bad one, but still, to hear the gasps and the people commenting behind you, like that's what makes a horror experience for me. It's a community thing.
If there's if there's an existing fandom for the movie that you're seeing, then yes, go to a theater for that. But it's just if it's mostly A24 movie where nobody knows what's going to happen, it might be all right to stay home. Except Hereditary was fun to watch in a crowd, just because like there were some scares that were just people think they knew what was coming, but when it came, just really got a real reaction.
I had a weird crowd in Hereditary because I watched Hereditary, Midsummer, and Witch all in theaters.
Yeah.
And Witch had a decent crowd. Hereditary was a bunch of people I think that weren't really like prepared for what they were about to watch as far as like a highbrow art horror movie. So there was a lot of like chuckling, laughing. What is this kind of energy? And especially near the end with all the nudity, there's just a bunch of just people giggling. It's like watching it with a bunch of kids that couldn't handle watching, older people being naked on screen. So it kind of ruined it for me. It took me out of that mood. But watching it again at home kind of saved it for me. Because at first it was like, well, this movie's bunk. Everybody didn't even take it seriously in the theater. In Midsummer, I had a good crowd for that one too. That one was hilarious.
Like, what was
I wondered. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Here you go.
No, go ahead. Oh, okay. I was just gonna say I wondered if I would have liked more of the A24 movies. It's difficult to put together my list of top 5 and bottom 5. I wondered if I would have liked them more had I seen them in that movie theater environment, because that's part of why I love so many Blumhouse movies. Right. So.
Because that reaction, especially because I only saw The Witch twice. Once was at Sundance with her and the second time was that like before satanic temple party where they did a ritual and shit. But the first time was interesting because it's just you have all these people with all this money that are chasing the trends and trying to see what the kids like, but there's no kids in the theater. And so they only got themselves. And so when it gives you that weird, anxious energy for an hour and a half, they were just like that the whole time themselves. Like, oh shit, when's this going?
I couldn't. I think a lot when I picture myself, like 8-year-old me was the ultimate horror buff. Would I be into A24 films? And I don't think I would.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have liked it at all because it's so slow paced. It's so ominous,
yeah.
intense that I think I would have just been bored.
Yeah, most A24 movies are very not friendly for kids. Like Blumhouse is just like, oh man, that's crazy. Oh, that's wild. And when it's from digital, it's like, what's there?
Hmm.
I really-
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Travis,
Nicole Kidman.
Mhm.
Oh, I was going to say Nicole Kidman has done some really good suspenseful movies before. Like, say for example, The Others. That one
Mhm.
was such a great build up and
Yeah.
payoff. And then one that I liked better than The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which reminded me of the one Stoker. Did you guys see Stoker that she was in? I liked that one actually with Matthew Good and I think Mia Wasikowska. But I like that one a lot better. It didn't make me cringe.
Yeah,
No one at Crohn's. Um, yes, Travis, I agree. It was amazing in theater midsummer. That
it,
movie's so layered and aesthetic. Seeing it on a big screen is almost a must. So you can really
like
appreciate
for me, for me, Cats was more of like a theater experience than Midsummer was.
that. Yeah,
Just because like it's like I was especially the first 5 minutes, the first really fucked up scene that they show in Midsommar. It's like, oh man, buckle the fuck up,
yeah,
Hereditary
yeah.
level, and it's just it's been so much time being other movies. It seems like it seems so much time like following the Texas Chainsaw Massacre checklist of just like
Mhm.
the kids are going to somewhere weird. Check. The people are is check. They like to put blood on things with symbols, and all the way on. It's a fine movie. It's like the production quality is great. But it's just it wasn't Hereditary though for me.
Lighthouse might have been better for me in a theater. So did you end up liking Lighthouse at all, Levi, or was it just a miss for you?
Lighthouse was all right in the theater. I could have done.
I couldn't. I thought about that. I'm like, could I have sat through that in the theater? Probably not. I've never walked out of a theater, but I have a feeling that I probably would have with that film, that particular film.
I think
I nearly walked out of Three from Hell. That was
Wow,
pretty.
I
That
see.
was that was pretty
I
offensive.
haven't even watched it, so I'm right there with you. Like I can't even bring myself to watch it.
Yeah,
whenever
I was still working at the Halloween store, the Mad Monster Halloween store, and nobody got to go because they had to work, and I'm the one that went. And I mean, no, my boyfriend is from Mexico, and he's like, "Is this what Rob Zombie thinks of Mexicans in Mexico?" Like he was pretty offended by it. I was.
from that moment where they say I want to go on a vacation, it turns into some another movie that's just not. We could have been okay
Yeah,
with a 45
see,
minute.
that ranks right up there. Like that movie just doesn't exist to me. So it's not a trilogy to me. It's just a cheap part. That's it. That's where it ends. Just like
Yeah,
Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones doesn't have a final season. I just kind of like wiped it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
yeah.
That one doesn't exist. It just ends. We'll never know what happened. I'd rather have been left on a Sopranos type ending than to receive that from
Totally.
the final season. And Levi said, no, I didn't like it, but I saw it at home because we didn't get it at work. So that tells you something there if they didn't get it at the train.
Like,
Yeah.
even if it played on the TV, I'd still be like, this is sea creature shit. This feels right. It's like wallpaper in your house.
William says Dead Calm is my favorite Nicole Kidman movie. Can't say
Oh,
that either.
I hadn't seen that.
wait, you
Yeah.
guys haven't seen that?
No.
So good. Billy Zane is in it. Sam Neill. It's like the three of them on a boat.
Was she
That's
also?
all I'm gonna say.
Was she also in?
On a boat.
Like, it's just Nicole Kidman does so much. I love her. She's cool. Like even like Aquaman, it's just like, all right, it's a better movie just because she's here.
Man, I mean, I'm a fan of Nicole Kidman, so I will check out anything that she puts her name on.
That movie is so amazing at building up tension. That is an intense movie with just three people on a boat. It's really, and I mean, Billy Zane is incredibly hot. So, but it's a
1989.
very
This missed my radar when I was 8 years old.
Chris.
That's why I haven't seen it. Because 1989. Here we go. We got the
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my God.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I mean Billy Zane too. Sam Neill. I always think it's Jurassic Park, but I'll take it.
Right.
Would you feel that body cam would be best served as a Blumhouse or an A24?
What was that?
What was the Nicole Kidman movie that started the question?
Oh, this the killing of a sacred deer.
Nah, it was the other one, the one that was in the Facebook comment. I already forgot. Like,
Oh, Dead Calm.
yeah, it did come. Yeah,
That movie is perfection as it is.
yeah.
I don't think it could be improved upon, and I highly recommend it to both of you and anybody else that hasn't seen it. It's a great movie.
Cool.
We'll have to look for it. I'm not sure where it would be streaming these days. So yeah, Levi feels like if with the audience he might have had a better experience with the Lighthouse. He will visit it one day. Kudos to you. One and done. Lighthouse, one and done.
Yeah, I
I've
could.
been there, done that. Don't need to get the t-shirt. They thumbs
There we go.
down.
No.
I know you're a fan, but for different reasons though. Like if I were
It's
looking
the
at it from a
majority's
comical,
vote. Yes.
if I was looking like that, and that's how I felt with The Witch. When I walked out, I'm not going to deny that the movie was shot beautifully as a period piece movie. If they wouldn't have marketed it to me as a horror movie, I might have enjoyed it more. I might have gone in expecting like a historical piece.
I wish that Get Out was hit more hard as a horror movie because the trailers they showed like a good chunk of their deleted scenes with like the deer that's entirely a skeleton puppet and like knife heads off. It looked fun. I was like, this is the best Academy Award nominated thing ever. But then they kept pushing it as a thriller, a suspense thing, and all those crazy shit that I was expecting wasn't there. It's still like one of their best movies, but still, like I wish they leaned into it because in Jordan Peele said in that History Through Horror doc that it was a possession movie. It's like, why didn't you just go with that? It was a horror movie about possession. Just do that.
I think as advertising, that movie might have been tough to market.
Yeah,
I had to convince people to watch it because when they would see the trailer, they'd be like, I really don't want to watch a racially driven movie. And I'm like, it's not what you think it is. It's very misleading. Just watch it.
That was initially what I thought, but it's just I knew that I was wrong, and so I just had to fight that, go in, and I was glad I did, because it's not, it's not what you think it is.
I mean, he definitely went in with a twist on that. William says they're both subpar companies to him that have way more misses than hits. Whew. Shots fired. So what do you think is the best horror movie production company out there?
I mean, if we're just talking through 2020 and everything is bad, it's just this year that matters. I think Shudder's coming around to be a real force.
Remember when Dimension Films was really putting out some films? Yeah. Lionsgate too?
Yeah.
If you saw Lionsgate or Dimension Films in the front, you're like, oh, this is probably going to be a good horror movie.
Yeah, there was like that early period of time where there's like 5 of them. There was that, there was Dimension, I'm forgetting the rest, Ghost House.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you have my attention. If this company put this film out, then it's worth watching. And it just kind of got messy after a while because then you had all these other independent companies throwing their hat in the mix, and then you have like Netflix and Amazon trying to make movies, and so
there's so many subscription services. I bet
I hate it.
If we bought them all, it would be in the triple digits of the bill every month.
It'd be worse than a full cable bill. And to me, my biggest peeve is like when I want to watch something and it takes me 20 minutes to find where it's being streamed. Because I know it's being streamed on one of these platforms, but I got to go through each app and search. Nope, not Hulu. Nope, not Netflix. Nope, not Amazon. Then you got to go through your sub-channels, HBO, Showtime, Cinemax.
We shouldn't have to just wait to hear what's worth it because it's the same thing. Like with how much the monthly bill should be, like any normal person isn't going to find the movie that they want to see and pay for the subscription and go for it or do a trial. Like they would just find a copy of it online, and if it wowed them, then vote that way. You don't have to pay for them all to have them all.
Yeah, and that's what makes me miss going to physical video stores.
Yeah,
I was actually just gonna say that I actually still have a pretty impressive collection of DVDs, and I still rent. I go to Cinephile and I rent because one, the experience, and I've raised my kids going to the
Mhm.
drive-in and renting movies and stuff, and I just
It's
yeah.
definitely an experience to have a physical copy of a movie, be able to flip it over, read what's out, look at the screenshots of whatever they might have put on the cover. And my grandfather and I, when I was in my single digit age years, like 5, 6 years old, that was the game we would play. Let's go to the local video store and see who can pick out the scariest movie based on the box. Like these are titles that you never would hear from. They didn't have trailers. They weren't released in theaters. It
the
was just
art on the box
movies.
was the Justifier, and
Like,
it
well,
was
this one looks crazy. You can't do that now.
no,
And
no,
then
Mm.
to find, especially for horror movies, Shutter's come around, but that's before streaming became relevant. They had Blockbuster do the mail, and Netflix is sending things through the mail. Even their catalogs were limited, and then Redbox came around, and I hate Redbox because they never give you the full cut of the movie. You never get the, the reels or the any of the excerpts or anything. So you're not even getting the full movie, and they don't ever have everything. So you're limited. Because I feel like I'm being dictated what I can and can't watch, and it has to be relegated to what's popular. And I just didn't
Oh,
like.
it's just the art being the size of like this is different from being the size of like this. It should be
Mm-hmm.
something that you really look at and see the detail.
You just get a feeling when you hold that thing in your hand. It's like this is the one. And you can walk around with it, and you're being a little bit more selective. But
Hmm.
that's us sounding old.
I hear to protect the
hey,
environment.
don't talk about being old. I remember when we used to have to rent the VCR when we rented our VHS. So
Yeah,
I think my first VHS for Christmas when I was 5 was E.T. and I that was when VHS tapes were crazy expensive.
yeah, like $70.
Yeah,
I saw an ad for the Child's Play VHS release, and it's like for only $90 you can have this movie, and it's like,
and
oh,
it's
what?
true. It's true. I had two VHSs as a kid. That's all my family could afford. And it was
Yeah,
E.T. and Puss in Boots, and that was it. That was it for the longest time. It's like you watch your TV movies. That's all you're getting, unless you go to Blockbuster.
yeah. Which makes the VOD stuff seem like, oh, but you can access more movies. It's like you're still charging the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
All the
Physical
time.
media all the way, especially because streaming seems to always take off more than they add. And
Yeah,
with series, I notice a lot of seasons here and there, a collection or random episodes. This is true. I was watching something the other day and I realized it was edited on Hulu.
yeah,
And some episodes are missing out of seasons. Like, I was looking for a particular episode and it wasn't there at all because they don't have the license for it. I'm like, how do you not have a license for a particular episode if you have the rest of the season? Like, so that's really annoying. And yeah, you don't ever know when you're watching something that you didn't see in theater if they're edited or cut
right.
Mhm.
or you're just missing the best scenes.
That's the only blessing of the internet is just finding out like if what you're saying is what you're supposed to be saying or not. Because I loved the Dark Crystal for a while, but apparently there's a shitload of footage that got shipped out of like the press screenings or the test screenings rather.
Mm-hmm.
And some weirdo fucking found the negatives, scanned everything together with the audio, and it's like 30 minutes longer now,
Wow,
like that. And
that's some hard work. But
yeah,
it's like classic like Blade Runner scenario. How many different Blade Runners are there?
so many.
There's so many that they have to have like people are writing full blogs on like which one to watch and why. So it
Yeah,
makes me think like how many versions of these films are we watching on streaming platforms that are not the true version that we were meant to see.
when the internet goes out, the books and the physical copies are there.
Levi says, I think now with Viacom Paramount now owning Dimension Films, now we will start seeing a resurgence of horror from Dimension to Viacom and Paramount. I look forward to it. I really
Cool.
do. Because like I said, whenever you saw that, you knew it was going to be an entertaining movie. Williams chiming in with the $89.99 was the going price. That's crazy to think that. Crazy to think that that would be the price for a VHS.
I think paying $60 for a game is crazy.
And you rarely get the commentary or behind the scenes stuff that you love so much.
Yeah, the bonus
You don't get the option to watch
features.
standard or widescreen. You don't get the director's or theatrical cut options. You're just limited. Like, this is what you get. That's it. I can't
Bonus
be
features are so cool, especially if you're an aspiring artist and you're like, I really love Guillermo del Toro. I want to hear his shit. And then you've got the Criterion release of those things and talking about stuff, and there's a little
I mean,
masterclass.
when you have a whole disc of extras,
Yeah, like that
Oh,
was
you know,
something better.
deleted scenes, blooper reels. Like, I love watching bloopers. They took that away. And you don't have that with streaming. You have to go on YouTube and hope that someone was kind enough to rip it from a DVD and post it on a YouTube video just to see that stuff.
Yeah,
oh, I love commentaries. I like to put on commentaries when I know a movie so well and just walk around doing my house stuff and
yeah,
like matching it up in my head. I live for commentaries and special features. Yeah.
that's one
Travis
thing
is
others
finding
should
it.
think about doing.
Yeah, some streaming services where old episodes are just as truncated, syndicated versions with stuff cut out and different. This is true too. I've watched some series where the intro has different music, and I'm like, what? That's not the. That's not the.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they change out the intro music because they don't have the licensing for it or something, and they just make it like a generic intro.
I
It's just,
first noticed something like that. Like, I liked Moonbeam a lot, the Full Moon for Kids edition, and then there's this movie called Phantom Town. I was like, this is the scariest Goosebumps shit ever. But then it's just like I tried looking for it, and it's called Spooky Town now because of licensing, and it's just like this is not. Guys, like I'm trying to convince my friends, guys, I promise to
yeah,
say,
don't pay attention to the
yeah,
trust me, Levi, especially if Spring 5 is a big success. I am looking forward to seeing what Spring 5 is going to bring.
hopefully it's good. I hope the bangs come back from 3.
See, we'll have to see. Evil Dead Army of Darkness is like that too. How many versions exist? I think we could do a whole episode on how many variants of most popular movies, the cult classics there are out there.
They're so. I didn't know.
So good.
Mhm.
That's why they're Criterion collections.
I wish that Criterion would have done like a Get Out release. That would have been pretty cool.
They're missing a lot of opportunities for extra content. I feel.
Totally.
That's the lack of physical media, and there's no source. So it's like I don't see why Netflix or any other streaming platform can't bundle a movie with the extras or commentaries for you to watch or option it to watch with
It would
commentary.
be in there when you click on the title. It should be between episodes. They'll do that sometimes, but just they need to do it way more because creatives or people that make these things.
Cinephiles, I guess they're counting on cinephiles just going out and buying the physical copy, but sometimes you just want to watch a movie and experience the whole thing and not have to buy it.
Yeah.
I know I'm trying to downsize. I'm not trying to buy every movie that comes out anymore.
Yeah.
Levi says a lot has to do with studios not wanting to license it out, though, and it's true. It just sucks for the viewer. Like we're getting the short end of the stick with them making.
Yeah, what was the only creator that is like everybody likes that is a pro piracy person amazing was Bong Joon Ho. Like just got done LA premiering Parasite. He was talking for 5 minutes about how he had like a films class like kind of thing where they would watch movies and like see 'em, but it would mostly be things that weren't allowed in the country. So he would have to pirate Quentin Tarantino movies himself and like learn to translate from English to Korean subtitles, and just it really informed him as a filmmaker. And so I'm like, all this licensing, like leveraging products for different price tags and different reasons, are just they're stifling creativity and streaming all
Mm-hmm.
there. I think it should be absolutely normal to just talk about like, oh, I saw this on Pirate Bay or whatever, and it shouldn't be like a judgment of character.
Especially aggravating now that Disney has essentially said they are going to release physical copies of the classic 20th Century Fox catalog or their live-action Walt Disney Pictures catalog.
God damn, Disney.
I mean, that was the thing. I didn't know this was a thing until I was like, when The Simpsons was going through that transition and Disney bought Fox. I was like, well, now Simpsons World is going to be taken down, so you can't just stream whatever Simpsons episodes you want. Hulu only plays the current season, so what are you left with? You got to buy the whole box set. And you
Yeah.
can start to look, you can't find them. They haven't printed them in years, so they're like expensive when you do find one for sale, and that just sucks. So it's like now we're prisoners of a streaming service because we want to watch something but you can't buy it.
Yeah, anybody who has the influence or the resource to hang something over our heads will every single time because
Mhm.
we want it. That's true.
Yeah, we're just slaves. We're paying forever. You know, if you want to see things, you just can't. Unless you're a
Um,
pirate. Like you said, unless you're a pirate, you know, you get around.
Yeah,
I'll get it one way or another, and that's all you're doing is encouraging more people to go that route when you're taking the options off the table, when
yeah.
you're limiting them.
Show me you care about me by just letting me have what I want at first, and then
You have, I mean, back in like the early 2000s, I was into LimeWire and Napster and stuff. And I remember getting a copy of Fast and the Furious. This is when it first came out. And I guess I got a production leak copy because I watched it like probably 5 times. And I'm like, something's off with this movie.
yeah,
Like, it seems like it's all there, but then I realized there's no music score in this movie. There's no songs, no music. It's just special effects sounds and the movie. So it was really weird. And I think I still have it on a burnt disc somewhere. It was just one of those leaks from the studio before they were finished editing.
yeah.
that's how I saw the first time I saw 40-Year-Old Virgin was like a production copy or something totally unedited. I hate that fucking movie because it wouldn't end. It wouldn't end, and I was like, oh.
That's horror to me. The cringe comedies where it's funny because it's uncomfortable. That's my horror. Like
Oh,
Juno.
those I can't be in control of control because once it gets really awkward, I press pause and have to walk around. It's
Yeah,
like feel when you're doing that valet sketch when you're talking about movies and you're like, oh, the Liam Neeson's and he's walking around and he's getting hyped up. That's me during those moments. I have to pause and oh my god, I can't believe this is about to happen. And
yeah. And I
oh,
almost
I can't just watch
look
it.
away from it for the same reason I look away from the jump scares that are sound based. It's like, oh, I don't want to look. I hate
Like I
this.
know it's coming. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh,
know it's
and that
coming.
movie made me crazy because I'm a collector. I'm a long, like 25 years I've been collecting. And so as she like starts piecing out, or why don't you sell this? Why don't you sell this? I'm like, oh, this. So yeah, I hate that movie.
Herman's got a 138 says Seattle is lucky to have Scarecrow video. Check them out. I don't think we have anything in Orlando, like physical movie stores that I'm aware of. I think they all died when that last blockbuster shuttered up.
uh,
Well, hey, people in the LA area, we got Cinephile on Santa Monica next to the New Art, and they still show Rocky Horror if we ever get to go back again. And then in South Pasadena, there's Videotech.
I've been trying to hit drive-ins recently. I've never done it before COVID, but they're fun. Like whenever they let you social distance like 6 feet apart from your friends to catch up, then it's great.
The
Like,
closest
It
thing that we have that kind of like satiates the fact that we don't have a physical video store is we have an independent movie theater called the Enzion, which is like a bunch of couches and like it's a dine-in theater and
yeah,
tables, and they play old school movies. So you can go and watch movies that won't ever be played on the big screen. So I'm like that's an even exchange. It's not still the same, but at least there's an option I can see an old movie on a giant movie screen and get that experience. Um, Aside from the was it the what is it the AMC does like the throwbacks, like I've seen Young Frankenstein, The Shining, and several other movies on the big screen. Can't think of who hosts that.
yeah. There's some theaters where just even the theater itself is a monument, and you just gotta see it just for the history and how crazy cool it looks. Because I think Cinepocalypse has their theater at Music Box Theater in Chicago, and just that alone is a trip, just walking in there. But then getting to see Total Recall on 70 millimeter and Flatliners are just like that's extra. Sometimes.
oh, the Egyptian in Hollywood. That is my spot. I love it there. Like just before COVID happened, I got to go to a free screening of Inglorious Bastards, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I
That
got
was
to
something
the
I never
later.
considered either. Large format, watching things in large format, like it's like when I heard Levi going into details how movies are filmed, and then like the director has a vision, the frame rates and the sound. When you
Yeah,
go to an average theater, they don't think about any of that. Just slap it in the thing, press play, and you're
yeah,
watching it however their system is set up. So I think about that a lot now, watching old movies, like either on TV or going in the theater. It's like, theater is theater the best way because if it's like set up the way it should be seen, it makes a big difference.
And then by proxy, some of those artists that are very quirky about like what cameras and stuff they use, they're without knowing it, like rewarding a certain kind of person that sees the movie a certain kind of way. And if you didn't see it that way, then some asshole, even if you love them, will just say, "Hey, you're not seeing it correctly. You should have been at this theater that projected this way."
There's always one person that will always point that out, whether it's movies or music. Like, this should only listen to headphones.
Even
like,
if I truly did,
hear it the right way.
even if I truly did miss out, then put it another way.
I mean, when widescreen first started coming out, I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop staring at the bars on the top and the bottom. Like, this is distracting.
And so it's like,
so that you can see if somebody's on the edge. That's all this is for. So we can see like what might be on the edge of the screen. But
yeah. Especially with those DVDs that gave you the option of widescreen or full screen. It's like, full screen, duh, it looks better.
Standard, come on. What kind of question is that? Why would I want a smaller screen on my 20-inch television? Because back when that first started coming out, so I was like, why are we eliminating 20 inch? We're like eliminating
more information, please. And then after a while, it's just like sometimes limiting the information can be cool. But I still stand by. I knew what I liked when I was younger, but I also know what I like now.
Yeah, I still stick to those things that I liked when I was younger, horror-wise. So I think that'll be because I grew up like Tales from the Crypt, Creep Show, The Hitchhiker, like all those shows like that, those micro miniseries stories. That was what I was into, and like as out there as they can get, the better. Twilight Zone was almost a little too serious for me. You had to get a little crazy, because those are the ones that stuck in my mind.
Oh, the early episodes of Freddy's Nightmares were great because they were continuations of the movie. Oh, that was so amazing. Sorry, I'm very with my hands.
I mean, you should be getting. I've just started rewatching all of the Nightmares. I'm on 4 right now, so it's funny to watch them because I grew up watching them as they came out and rewatched them sporadically throughout my life, and now I'm watching them consecutively again. And it's so funny because it's just how the evolution is with the movies and the feel and how influential the 80s became with each one coming out. The music, how it was shot, what the kids were wearing. So so great. So the TV show, I remember that coming out going, what? There's a TV show? I've got to watch this because I was into the TV series stuff. And USA Up All Night.
Yeah.
I grew up on that stuff, so it's right up my alley.
Even though the movie wasn't great, the episode 3 of Star Wars had like this cartoon miniseries of like 10-minute episodes that were 5 apiece. Mm-hmm. It's just those were fucking cool because they made General Grievous look amazing, but then you get the 3 and it's like, wah, wah. But like I love that like segue connecting us between like the monitors. And
those were alternate universes before we realized that's going to be a thing. Like Marvel kind of made that a thing. Before it was like more content. This is before the internet, so you're hungry for it. Any kind of content from whatever franchise you were into was amazing. It could be the lamest thing, but it still was sacred to you because it was more content on a subject that you were interested in. You can't just watch YouTube videos in the 80s because that wasn't a thing.
Yeah. The kids these days just don't know the struggle. And it was a struggle. If you missed it, there was no rewinding your TV. There was no pausing. I got to go to the bathroom. You need to hurry the hell up and get back in between the commercials.
Just time it perfect. Like, oh, this seems like a dead moment. Let's hurry up and go.
Yeah,
that's it. Or you have to catch it again. It might come on again next week. You have to wait a whole week to rewatch it.
Around the time I started to be cognitive of like the concept of missing out on shit like that, which I did with like some cartoons that were on Adult Swim at the time. That was when YouTube was becoming a thing. It's like, oh, it's right here. Especially Viacom didn't like copyright everything. It's like everything is here, even movies.
It was too good to be true. And then when Crackle started doing full movies on YouTube, that was like amazing. So it's like, these movies are free. You're like looking over your shoulder like, this is too good to be true. I was watching Taxi Driver on Crackle. 10 years ago. And then they found out that, oh, we can make money on this. Well, making people subscribe. So they went to 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't chiming in with the 16:9 aspect ratio TVs were awesome for viewing widescreen editions of movies. Well, yeah, I had a perfect square classic Magnavox 20-inch, and it was not fun.
Yeah, it's like I appreciate how much or how little artists show of their worlds now, but I absolutely hated it full screen. Yeah.
Levi is saying the good thing is, when I say that about us, is that it's because the director was there watching multiple times in the months or weeks before it's released. It's exactly what they want, and that came in very handy opening weekend with all the interstellar sound complaints with Nolan's artistic choice with the music overpowering the dialogue. I remember learning about this when one of the Hobbit movies was released, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and there was a specific frame rate that he used, and I saw it and was like, wow, this is amazing. And it was like specific sound, and Tarantino was the same way with how he shot and how the sound should be. So I believe it with Interstellar because I remember everybody complaining about that, the sound problem.
That was absolutely how it was with Interstellar. It was just seeing it in a laser projection was just some weird outer space Kubricky shit. But then if you see it digitally, it's I don't know, it's just feels different. You don't want to go back after that time.
This is before my time, 70s, to watch Count DeVoe's Creature Feature Theater every Saturday night at midnight. This was before my time, but it's right in that realm of like Elvira, USA Up All Night, Svengoolie on MeTV. I mean, I still watch Svengoolie up until present day. It's just nostalgic. You can't
That was
beat.
G4 for me, like the gaming, entertainment channel of just like following something. Otherwise, there's nothing like that around that time. The amount of like cool programs to follow that you
When you
had.
think about it, there really isn't anything like that now. Like, do we really have any current show hosts or any kind of series that are like that? I mean, someone in the comments mentioned Black Mirror, which I always bring up Black Mirror because it's a great show for what it is. It's definitely one of those that questions your morals and ethics when you're watching it, and it makes you scared of the future. It really does.
I don't know why, but that has me inspired to throw a monkey wrench in the conversation of I didn't think Black Christmas, the Blumhouse one, was all that bad.
Oh, you
Yeah,
you and Justine could have a whole show of just going back and forth
yeah,
why you love war. I can't chime in because I didn't have enough interest to even watch it.
Same.
I can't really.
I had to get tricked into seeing it because I was very resistant. I was like, "It's Ghostbusters, the Sony one," and then it's just like,
Well, let's see if anybody watching has any input on Black Christmas. Anybody out there watching?
I know.
And share your thoughts.
But
Open fire, because I can't.
no, like it's fun. Just for any non-believers, just YouTube the song that they made for the movie called "Up in the Frat House." Like, if it doesn't make you crack up or you don't find it entertaining, then that's it. Otherwise, I feel like it encapsulates the fighting points that are good. Even though like it's not '06 or the original, it still has the right to like be seen.
I mean, I think when I run out of absolutely everything to watch, I might hit that.
Yeah. With limitless possibilities each week.
Like, well, I guess I'm down to this. I've watched everything else. I guess I'll watch this.
Oh man, Truth or Dare was really bad. It's just I feel like it's in that same vein, and it just geez.
God, about how bad Truth or Dare was.
I mean, I struggled through Happy Death Day because that one was hyped up. You saw the ads at Universal, like all around. Like it's just like, well, I should watch it. No.
And then
it's like even the antagonist in the movie reminded me of Valentine's Day movie with David Boreanaz.
The mask still kind of pisses me off though, because I think Boss Baby when I see it, but it's just
a ridiculous. I mean, I don't.
But I don't love it.
I can't.
I'm going to hate one.
I liked it. I liked it. I liked it.
From the title saying Rare Exports is the best Christmas movie horror.
That was a good. I like that one a lot. I agree. I think
Santa's Sleigh is the best Christmas movie horror. Goldberg all day. Santa's Sleigh.
I hate Christmas, so anything Christmas I skip.
Oh my God! If you hate Christmas, then you should watch Santa's Sleigh because Santa hates Christmas
What
too.
about Krampus? How many Christmas movies has Blumhouse put out?
uh, the one, or no, they did Into the Dark, which are the holidays.
Yeah,
So like maybe there's probably 2 or 3. I'm just forgetting.
Boss Baby. Somebody's laughing at your Boss Baby.
Yeah, you can't help but not see it, but it's just I like it. I like that now because it's just I fucking hate it so much. But also, if there's a big person wearing that, I probably wouldn't say that to their face.
Man, Krampus, you brought up Krampus, and I might be one of the few people that I just don't think it's that big a deal. I see all kinds of jerky a-holes in that movie, and I'm like, I don't feel y'all getting your comeuppance. I don't
Yeah,
feel bad for you at all.
yeah, they're all assholes, but it's still like the creatures are cool. Like the
Very
little
cool.
in the box creature is worth it just for that. And then like I'm gonna. This is obviously like a spoiler thing, but it's like at the end.
Come on. You can do a better job doing something that might be intimidating with a
I would be,
baby face.
yeah. It's it
Isn't
is
that
scary. I
the
just
name
hate
of
it.
Roger Rabbit? Like, just a big cigar. Like,
I bet that thing would tower over me. Like, oh, all right.
yeah, okay, that's yeah. Oh,
I mean, with Krampus, I mean, I love Michael Dougherty because he made one of the greatest horror movies, in my opinion, with Trick or Treat. I
Yeah,
just absolutely adore that movie.
that's awesome. Also, King of the Monsters, the Godzilla one, wasn't bad. I liked that one a lot.
I liked it a lot.
I saw
Yeah,
that one in theater, as it should be seen.
yeah. It's like I think the creatures are worth the time. I feel like the ending of Krampus is enough of a fuck.
And you could take the human part out of it and just make it a monster movie. I would be much happy. I did not care whatever 11 was up to.
That
Part of that and just have the monsters fighting. I'm perfectly fine with that.
that's
Save
a
your money. Stop paying these actors. Like, how much you wonder they paid Bryan Cranston to be in that movie for 5 minutes? Like, oh
just
shit,
in the beginning.
Bryan
Like,
Cranston from Godzilla? Nope, he's not.
it succeeds only in that it's like an hour and a half long trailer for King of the Monsters. But I mean, it's just I just got off of Breaking Bad at the time, and it's just like, how did they fuck this up with him? I still enjoy the creature side of things. Like if you could take out all the people in all movies and leave the robots and the creatures, that's
I
why
am
you.
for that. I am for that. The only people that should be in these movies are like Ultraman. Other than that, you can't just show people running. That's all I care. I don't want to know about their backstories. I felt the same way with Walking Dead. If you would have showed me a zombie series that was about the zombies' perspective, it would have been more about it than to watch a bunch of people walk and talk. So
Yeah,
that's
with Shape of Water, which is like a half human, half creature story. The better half is Doug and like the creature and stuff. Just let him let him be.
if I were to watch that now, I'd fast forward through all the people scenes.
I want a cut of like just the
Yeah,
2 minutes.
somebody probably has made that. Just edit out all of the people and just fight scenes of all the monsters.
Yeah.
Do that with some horror films too. Just edit out all the dumb dialogue and just all the kills.
Yeah, because it's like obligatory for the horror genre to start with the 30 minutes of the backstory and the people's problems and all this other shit.
We're not going to watch that. We should have watched action. I'm
The
going to
one-
watch people get scared and make stupid decisions.
The one time it succeeded for me was like that was just another Shudder movie I really liked was The Room, not the Tommy Wiseau one, but there's like
No,
I had to come out.
I did not hit her.
But it's like I did not. But it's a people focused story, but it's also got this weird Phil Tippett like creature atmosphere thing to it that just makes people interesting for once, which is hard. You can't make people interesting nearly as much as you should.
If I wanted to watch people, I'd watch a drama. Like, I don't know. And you agree with me on the Walking Dead. I love being the outsider. I love being that one person that just rains on someone's parade. We're like, Walking Dead's the best. Like,
Yeah,
I disagree. I think it's hyped up. It had
Agreed.
I was impressed with the first episode. Started watching more and more. I'm like, I don't know. And I can't remember who did a skit, but someone did a comedy skit of what it would be like if it was just about the zombies and the zombies were communicating. I'm like,
that
I would
was
watch that.
cool.
I would watch that over this. Like,
Because it was the creatures are always the best part of that. But now they're doing another spin-off and another movie about the same bullshit.
oh hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. No, the room on Shudder is the real room. The other room is, I don't even want to say fun, but like the Shudder made, they got La Llorona right and they got the room right. That's my.
Gave up on it mid season 2. Same.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
I didn't even get into it. It was all hype. I'm really turned off. Like when a group of people or people or whatever's all about the hype, I'm like I get real skeptical and take a step back. And
that was
yeah,
that was me with Lost.
Season.
Everybody was so hyped up about it. I'm like, you guys are going to be so disappointed because your expectations are like up here. And I remember the series finale, like everybody was
Season
disappointed.
1 and season done, and that was where I was at. Yeah.
okay, so I'm curious too. Now, Halloween 2018 was on the top of my Blumhouse list.
Yes.
Oh.
What did you guys think of that one? I'm just curious. I know Sergeant Horror and Mark and I talked about it the other day, but what about you two?
I wanted to be biased on it because when they had the premiere for that, my friend is like this. I went with at the time. It's like this tall Swedish, just muscle bound, like beefcake type. And then like Jamie Lee Curtis was coming to go to the red carpet, and then I was joking in my mind. I was like, what if she came out of line and just started hitting on him? But sure enough, I don't know if the footage is out there, but the photos sure are. She leaves the red carpet line, walks up to my friend with us around. It's like, hey, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I was just gonna see your movie. And so then pointing at her guard person I was like standing by, I was like, tell him that you should come in to this theater and stuff. And he did. It wasn't as cool as that was. That movie was just, I would have been cool with not seeing it. Like,
I went in with no expectations because when everybody was talking about it and I read into it, because I'm like, how is this going to work? Like, we already established that timeline.
yeah.
And now we're going to go back and we're going to forget about all of that. And I just like, well, you know what? I'm just going to treat this like a standalone movie. I'm not even going to watch it with it attached to the Carpenter Halloween. I was just going to watch it as a movie itself. And it followed the same formula.
The turning your back
version of a horror movie.
The turning your back on the sequels would have made, I don't know, it would have made sense if she wasn't so Captain Quincy the whole time. Like, I am so traumatized. I've seen so many fucked up things. I can't speak because for like
it was already done in
writing
Terminator 2.
but
With Sarah O'Connor in Terminator 2, when no one would believe her.
Why are the like 17 minutes of this guy fucking around in the first movie, but none of the baggage in between with the sequels? If she was fucked with that many times per sequel, then I would have seen her going crazy and me buying it.
Yeah, the whole just like survivor mentality. I mean, it's been done. Like the whole movie was just a formula, right down to how they cast it. There's the funny fat kid, the popular, it was the same formula. And then you add Jamie Lee, who was the crazy one. No one believes until the end. Like you should have
Don't
believed
trust
it
the crazy one until it's too late. A24 does have their tentpole movies.
Alice said you needed to save your life the whole time. You just, shoved her off.
It's crazy. Man, it's overdone. But what was Robot Chicken did a good skit of like, what if you switched Michael Myers and the Wet Bandits from Home Alone, and you got Macaulay Culkin throwing a paint bucket at Michael, and he keeps walking through the paint bucket. It's like, oh shit! Wet Bandits get locked up in downstairs. Like, oh, we really are Wet Bandits. We're in the basement. It's like, it's a trap, and she sets the house on fire with them in it. I was like, let's make that movie.
Levi said he would have appreciated it more if it had copied so much of 2 Resurrection after saying they wanted to ignore all of it.
Yeah.
Make it its own thing.
the test screening ending for Halloween sounded infinitely better than like what we got, where it was implied that Jamie and Michael burnt together, and just like it ties the knot like that. That would have been cool, but that's not.
It rocks, but it's hard to not think about the other sequels. Her portrayal was a more hardcore version of H2O. Agreed. That's where I just couldn't wrap my mind around why this needed to be done at all.
Yeah.
And why not, if you're going to do it, just do it your own. Like, make it a standalone universe instead of just trying to erase sequels that are, cult classics by now, and people have them engraved in their brains. You can't let that go when you're watching something. And it's hard. It's hard to get your mentality out when you're seeing Laurie Strode on the screen and you're thinking, oh, but this happened in H2O or Resurrection.
And speaking of another IP, they just need to stop or reassess. They've been trying to make this Five Nights at Freddy's movie for 4 years, and like they're still going through a writing process. Like that game is 5 years old, and there's like a million of them.
Even my 12-year-old is over it. He's just kind of like past it. Yeah.
There's so many costumes at horror conventions of that game, and it's like that was the time to do it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
beat a horse to death, or and then I agree with Levi here as well. That little twist that they try to throw in that movie with him, like becoming too close to Michael and wanting to be him.
Turn Michael into an idea and not like a singular entity. Like you don't want cults of Michael. I don't know. It's one of those things where like, if we can see it coming, then it's probably not a good idea.
Ant-Man was in Halloween.
Yes, he was. That was his first movie.
I want to watch that because that cast seems crazy, and that one scene where the house is burning, that looks crazy too.
H2O was more successful doing what Halloween 2018 attempted to do. I agree.
Yeah.
I like 2018 a lot, but I do love H2O. It's amazing. Besides one of the most awesome cameos by the lovely lady back here.
Yeah.
On my poster, like that was one of the most classic Scream Queen meetups in any movie ever. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I stand by Halloween 2018. I still love it. I am not looking forward to Halloween Kills. I found the teaser cringeworthy when she's like, "Let it burn." I'm like, oh no.
I didn't even watch it.
The score of 2018, like that was cool. Like the score where they had that, it almost sounds like a siren part where like Michael's coming through the spotlight gag. That spotlight gag in 2018 was awesome. That was great.
Yeah. I mean that's a classic move too. Like like the same.
Even if it's like I've seen it a million times, I'm sure. Just for some reason, it's like, oh wow, I needed a breath of fresh air, and I got it.
I think that's why I'm partially glad that Friday the 13th is having a licensing crisis.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't need them ruining that franchise any more than they tried. I didn't mind the remake, but I just.
If there was ever a time for a 13th Friday the 13th to come out, it was when they were doing that box set for Scream Factory. They should have just been like, "Oh, what's that? You spent $200 on this? Surprise! Your collection's incomplete. Gotcha, bitch."
They went hard because they did Friday and they decided to reboot Nightmare, and that was a dumpster fire.
Oh my god!
And I was just like, stop. And then that was around I think that was around Rob Zombie's Halloween. So I was like, what is happening? Like my whole childhood is growing, like little by little.
Appreciating this surge of.
That was such a shame because I really love the casting of Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy Krueger. I thought that, oh wow, this is going to be cool, and then I don't know what happened. Oh.
It seems like perfect casting because Watchmen was my first official R-rated movie in a theater, and it's just that was all about Jackie.
LeBron James far, far away from Friday the 13th, and the rights case is resolved. LOL. What is that, Levi? LeBron James has an interest in that? I must have missed it.
LeBron James is doing Space Jam 2 right now, and yeah.
Oh, okay. Is that why you're saying it? Because
I don't know. Maybe it's not related. But it's just that was the only random LeBron thing I could think of.
And did we need a Space Jam 2? No.
No, but I mean, fuck it. maybe. I don't know. They have y'all seen the Looney Tunes cartoons that HBO Max was doing? They're like 15-minute things, and there's
No,
been
but I did notice that Looney Tunes is making a comeback in popularity because I was, I was in middle school in the '90s when everybody was rocking Bugs and Taz shirts, and now
yeah,
I'm starting to see them in the stores again. So I'm just really like, it's just blowing my mind. It's like I guess really is a 20-year cycle. Every
yeah.
20 years, you just go right back to the beginning and start over again.
It's like
Oh,
it doesn't hurt, but
he
they
wants to make the movie or be in it.
he
LeBron
wants.
James, I would never have picked him for a
Oh,
Friday.
that'd be weird. That'd be cool. Yeah. I don't know. Fuck
I
it.
don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know.
I mean, what was there is a movie called Spree that's on Google Play right now that Drake executive produced, and it's like that was fun. Like, I mean, anybody can give it a crack. I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron could do
About
it.
a year back, the story broke that he was in talks to try to produce a new Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris Rock is doing Saw. I mean, why not?
What is
That looks cool though. That looks really cool. I
it's
like
like
that he like
Jordan Peele kind of like knocked down that barrier, and everybody's like, Jordan Peele can go from comedy to directing horror, and I can do that.
Oh, have y'all seen Lovecraft Country yet? I mean,
No,
he
I've
produced
seen
that.
a lot of posts about it on social media. It blew up. So I got to sit down and watch that. Who's in charge of that?
It's like J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele are like producing partners on it, and I think they swap out writers and directors each episode. But the first
Okay.
piece of the first episode is like some of the best TV I've ever seen.
I'll have to check it out. It pops up on my suggested, but I was like, what? This came out of nowhere. Everybody is losing their minds over it. They're posting like, watch this, and
It's
some pretty credible
great.
sources are saying you should watch it. So
Yeah,
that's
it's
an interesting combination, J.J. Abrams and Jordan Peele. So
never would have seen it, but it's just JJ's nerdiness and Jordan's like sense of like real world horrors like just goes fucking amazingly together. I didn't think about it like that, but great.
you know it was a great show that was like supernatural and fantasy and had horror elements that didn't really get its like justice as far as a full run was American Gods. Did you guys catch
I
American
watched
Gods?
a couple of episodes. That's a Neil Gaiman, right? That's a Neil Gaiman
Yep.
story.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that was one that I started watching and I was entertained, but I got distracted and I forgot about it because there
yeah.
wasn't much promotion for it. So, and then not many people around me were watching it, but it had promise. So I have to like go back and see about finishing that because I watched
I mean
things
that
from beginning to end. Why I have to? I'm a completionist. I've got to finish this American God show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Where is this available? I want to say maybe
HBO Max. Yeah,
is it
HBO
HBO?
Max. Yeah,
Let's see. What is it called?
Lovecraft Country.
Love.
Journey Smollett.
Ah, really?
Watch it. Blah blah. Yeah, it's HBO. I think it's on regular HBO because I think I saw it popped up online.
Sorry, if I tricked it. I'm sorry if I tricked anybody into spending more money. Like,
HBO Max is frustrating me right now because I want to subscribe to it, but because they're having this argument with Amazon and Roku, you can't get the app on your Roku or Amazon device. So I wouldn't have any way to watch it, but on my phone or on my iPad, and it's just not worth it to pay that kind of money. Get it right, HBO. Because the HBO regular app is on.
I was living for all the release the Snyder Cut drama and like the investigation that they're doing now with Joss Whedon, but just I don't know. Like
They need to fire it.
there's so many things that I like. I just need a reason more to just tip all that money. I guess. Okay, that's a very good reason though.
HBO Max is your favorite streaming service right now. Tell us why. Tell us what you're watching. I
mean,
know what kind of sold me is I watch TV when I fall asleep, and I think I've just about worn out Community, Seinfeld, and Parks and Rec. So I was like, I need something different, and I figured they got the rights to Big Bang Theory, Fresh Prince, and Friends. So I was like, that's 3 more shows I can circulate. I didn't even pay attention to the movies of the original series that they would be putting out.
The inclusion of Warner Brothers and DC also is a really good read into and cartoons.
Again, too many. Can't keep up. There's too many.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like
when you have people like asking where can you watch it, I think that's where a lot of shows are going to fail because people are not going to know where to watch these shows.
And I mean, if you don't want to spend the money, but you just need to see to believe Lovecraft Country is a good show, like just type in whatever thing you want to watch, full stream free, and then just trust the 4 to 5 links that you go to. And if you like it, then vote for it if you can. That's why I had to do with Lovecraft Country. I had to check it out alternatively before.
Preview before you commit. Looks like you're losing sunlight there.
Oh yeah, let me see if I can fix that. I don't think it'll.
Yeah, no. If anything, we'll wrap up this soon. But I think we got our answers that Blumhouse seems to be the champion so far, just based on number of content, and I guess
I would say A24 just for like the like whenever they haven't punched as many times, but when they do punch, the punches connect more times than not.
So you're thinking as like quality of the film. That makes sense because it can't just be about quantity because you can produce a lot of shitty movies.
Yeah, totally. And
then,
it's
like, better like quantity over quality kind of mentality. But again, I don't see these movies as horror, so I think that's why I still lean towards Blumhouse. Like if we were talking about just psychological aspects, A24 hands down they have that. They definitely bring out anxiety feelings, makes everything tense, awkward. One of those movies that you wouldn't want to watch with your family.
Yeah.
Very tense and awkward. Like
oh yeah, like Blumhouse is the family and the friends thing for sure, and it's just A24 is the solo experience for the most part. But I do think that Sarge is talking about the vault of the bad Blumhouse movies that does need to come into focus when we talk about this, because it's like if we
there are quite a few stinkers.
Seen the whole iceberg and we've seen
that's horror though. I feel like horror or that's what it's about. Like you pop in Frankenhooker with a friend who's never watched it and you're like, what am I watching? Like just watch it, it's entertaining. It's so bad. Just
my boyfriend doesn't understand the concept of wonderful, terrible horror movies.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, it's a thing. That's a real thing.
That is the real thing, not the guilty pleasures thing. I don't buy that. You like it or you don't.
The amount of content HBO Max has is just fantastic, old and new. I still have yet to watch Lovecraft Country, but the new Looney Tunes cartoons is incredible. Doom Patrol. Someone told me to watch Doom Patrol.
Yeah, Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol's fun.
The entire back catalog of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and South Park.
Oh yeah,
South Park.
Also, DC's got Harlequin going for it. Also, it's really great. There's 2 seasons of that now, and Swamp Thing is great too. So DC doesn't hit all the time, but they've hit.
I like DC when they embrace their political realistic tendencies, like The Watchmen or V Vendetta. Like I felt like they were chasing Marvel too hard and copying them. It was ridiculous. Like just stick to what works for you, and these serious, more darker tone movies, I think, just work for you. And Batman should have been in that kind of light. Like as much as I'm dark, ominous superhero movies are overdone, which Guardians of the Galaxy was a fresh breath for me. Thor, Ragnarok with Waititi behind the camera, that was great.
I love that movie.
Ominous, we need more color, we need more comic feel.
It does look like a comic book. That's watching that movie looks like going through a comic book, and that's why I totally appreciate it.
Joseph coming in with Check the Boys with Carl Urban on Amazon. This is a great example of a series that got mistitled because The Boys really didn't make seeing The Boys. I was like, I don't really know why.
But if you think that is it is exactly what you think it is, but it subverts the expectation enough to where you can keep going. And
it's just a strange title. It doesn't really draw you in, and when you watch it, you're like, but it's so good. And Carl Urban does such a great job, along with the guy that plays Homelander. Just
oh my God.
He holds himself, how he switches from genuine and kind to just like a real asshole.
Yeah,
I've rewatched that season because we're preparing for season 2, but that's a win for Amazon.
totally.
But yeah, I think we hit on everything. When this is over, we'll have to do this again with just a more free range of things because it seems like we have a very dynamic uh, list of what we like and don't like. So we
Totally.
can touch on
The
that.
spectrum of love and hate that is well balanced for sure.
Like the worst horror movie that's so good.
Yes.
You know, that has a lot of potential. Like I watched it all when I was a kid, and I loved it. The more zany, the more wacky, the better. Ghoulies, Critters, Night of the Leapers, like
Yes.
the more like
Is the Easter movie to end all Easter
House, all those House movies. Those are crazy. Like how I think it was House 3 that had the pizza face that she
Oh.
throws into the garbage disposal, and that just like really was like, holy shit, that's crazy. There was a face in that. I was probably like 10. That's what I love about horror because it's just so out there, and I guess it's just being a product of the '80s and watching nightmares.
Absolutely.
You know,
Born in 78, I'm an 80s kid. My Saturdays were spent with cartoons, my older brother, The Muppet Show, Incredible Hulk, and Elvira. That's how I was raised.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
so like, you can't take that out. So basically, I will
Mhm.
always go that direction with horror. Like, keep it zany, use special effects, use practical effects. That was the big miss that they did in the Nightmare remake. Was not going practical with the wall scene and going CGI because it was pretty whack.
Oh, that's
I
like
did.
I refer to. I love Adam Green because he rebirthed the slasher via Victor Crowley with Hatchet. I love the movie Hatchet. That's so great.
I haven't
Was
seen.
it the other movie Peace? That movie was
He
crazy.
weirded me out. I was in high school when I saw that, and I was like, "This is what life
It
is
was
like." I hate.
so gross and fun. So gross. Like,
Yeah,
ugh, that's horror for me. And
that.
somebody brings up Brightburn. Yeah, I just watched Brightburn with him this past year. For, definitely a different take. Like, you can't watch it not go, that's totally Superman.
That's the
Superman.
James Gunn horror movie, Brightburn, or am I
Yes,
thinking? Okay.
yes. That has a Superman vibe to it. It's not
Yeah, that
Superman,
was
but it
fun.
kind of feels like Superman.
Yeah, what was that they should have made it a licensed Superman horror movie. Now that would be awesome, like with the teaser
Wow.
on it. That would have been everything. But
You knew
also,
that's what it wanted to be when you're watching it. It wanted to be
yeah.
that.
And if you see it through that lens, or if we edit our own poster and title sequence, we could fix this movie and make it great.
Oh, James Gunn horror. I love Slither.
Yeah,
Slither's another one of my favorites. I love it. And excellent commentary if you've not heard it.
absolutely. I've
This
listened
shit
to
is incredible, and part 2 has probably the best performance ever given by Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder
I haven't
fan.
seen those. I gotta see them. How many Victor Crowleys are there? Are there 3 or?
I think there's Hatchet 2, 3, and then Victor Crowley. So I think in total there's 4.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they're not great, but it goes back to that whole wonderful, terrible horror movie. And
Right.
excellent kills. I mean, he kills somebody with a belt sander. That's amazing. That's fantastic.
That's the whole point. You got to get creative with these kills. You can't see the same things over and over.
That's
Hmm.
always a good time. Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing beats the sleeping bag kill in Friday the 13th. That's iconic.
Yeah.
The same thing with any others. Like everybody has that signature move. But, get creative, people. Like, don't let it be limited to what we've already been seeing. Like, in all these remakes.
Exactly.
Think
And then at
outside
the
the
end of
box.
the day, like Blumhouse and A24, like 2 of the 3 tent poles that we expect horror first, and we generally like them. So I like to think for some people out there, it's like, fuck, I can't choose between Hereditary or The Purge. I can't choose it between because it's like, I don't know, we just are the most accommodating to each other of any genre community.
Was Blumhouse associated with the Purge series? Because I haven't heard anything after the first season, so I'm guessing it wasn't renewed.
Oh yeah, they did. Weren't they doing something with USA Today? I think it got canceled or something happened like that. I don't know.
And the only reason why I watched the series was to see what they casted Fiona Doris as.
Yeah, she's such a talent. Like I want to see her in more
She
things.
plays crazy too good. like she definitely tapped into her father, like
Mhm.
as far as
'Cause
her talent.
what was
She's
the one
great.
she was in Cult. Was it Cult of Chucky and
She
whatever
was in
one?
Curse and Cult.
Curse and Cult. Yeah, I loved her.
I loved Curse.
Yeah.
She really saved it though. Well, I mean, like it was already a fun movie, but she took it next level both times.
Yes, she made that movie
Yes.
work. So
And
when
a lot of people I talked to didn't like Cult of Chucky, and I was like, this is a fun movie.
if
It's
you're a fan of Child's Play 1 through 3, how could you not love Cult with all the cameos and seeing what happened to them as they grow up? Like,
Yeah, like I guess people just attach exclusively the serious moments of the first three movies. Like, this is what this series is supposed to be, and then Seed of Chucky came out and did this to everyone, and just it knew it was aware of what it was, which is a fun like series, and that's all it wanted.
that was more like a dark comedy.
Yeah, like, but it is queer as fuck, and I love it though.
Yes. I plan on trying to do a show in the future of horror and the gay connection, like all movies that have gay tendencies or influence. I
Yeah,
feel like that'd be a great topic to touch upon because there's a lot of movies out there that kind of fit the mold, but it just wasn't as like I guess marketed as it is today. So it's
oh,
almost like
Oh man, I have a picture of I was at Midsummer Scream, I think it was 2 years ago after the Hocus Pocus panel, and everybody is up there like, with the panel and stuff. I see Don Mancini. So I have this like huge ear to ear grin picture with me like totally fangirling out
yeah.
because it's Don Mancini. He's just chilling.
yeah.
They did a panel at Monster Palooza or one of the editions a few years in the past, and like it was supposed to be like I think a Cult of Chucky panel, and Jennifer Tilly just came up unexpected, ran the fucking panel, and is just iconic as fuck the whole time, and just
It
same
was
thing.
so great to get included into that franchise because I remember her from a movie called Bound with Gina Gershon.
Yeah,
Oh, good lord. Oh. I love
There's
that
your gay
movie.
connection right there. That's the ultimate like gay movie of the 99 2000 time frame, and then have her
absolutely.
in the
Oh
house.
yeah.
What was the only I haven't seen any other movie of hers, but when I was super young, I really dug that Stuart Little movie, which was also written by M. Night Shyamalan. So it is a horror y. And but yeah,
With House in it.
hmm?
With House.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hugh
Hugh
Laurie.
Laurie.
Yeah,
I totally forget. I don't know his name. I just call him House Guy.
yeah, that's House.
Yeah,
House in-
House Guy. Well, I
Oh,
think
we got a late third Black Christmas was trash. That was Vincent.
I mean if we're comparing it to the first two movies, sure. I mean, '06 and the original are just have their own really iconic moments. But I mean, Black Christmas, the new one, has its moments, but just in its own compartment in its own space or whatever. But I'm not saying one of this because it's like I day played for a few days on that movie and none of the scenes are in it. But like I just I gave it a shot. Go YouTube up in the frat house. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. Forget about it. Yeah.
Well, there we have it. The Black Christmas just seems to be like that hated movie, the one everyone loves to hate on. I'll just take a quick second to remind everybody to check out madmonster.com, participate in any kind of events that are coming up. Also check out the store and pick up some Mad Monster merch.
Like t-shirts.
Yeah.
Was being presented there. Also, don't forget to go to our YouTube channel, click subscribe, hit the bell so that you can get notifications for future videos. If you happen to miss the live ones, they always go up after the show ends. I think it takes about a day. So, yeah, definitely feel free to do that as we continue on at this month of A24 versus Blumhouse. And I'm not sure what we'll be touching on because I feel like we beat these subjects to death by now. We've done this for 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
We still have another week.
Right.
Get through it. And so at this point, I guess we'll sign off for now, and I'll see you next Friday. I'm not sure who the guest will be. It's always a surprise. So tune in to find out.
Awesome. This was so much fun. Thank you both for letting me hang out.
Yeah, no, anytime, anytime.
Same.
The more the merrier. That's how I feel. You don't want it to be boring. But we're getting into those Joe Rogan hours now. We're almost hitting the 2 hour mark. I just realized. So time flies.
Oh, wow.
That was another one. A quick Joe Rogan tangent. He was interviewing James Hetfield and was talking about how like when Lars Ulrich was like leading the ring on the Napster takedown.
Oh my god.
There are a bunch of artists. I think he said Jay-Z or someone were like one was like, "Hey, we love what you're doing. It's great." And then when they said you should step up with us, they're like, "No, we don't want to piss our pants off."
I was very disappointed when Lars went on that tangent of it. And I get it. I was probably 18 or 19 at the time, and I was just like, yeah, I can't afford to buy everything. As much as I'd like to support, I just can't afford it.
There's absolutely no way every piece of media that we consume, if we were to pay for it, we would be so in debt. I mean, I'd be.
Another
And then for it to be obsolete now, son of a bitch.
Yeah, another Joe Rogan tangent, or not really a tangent, but a notation. I watched the Post Malone 4 hour one.
Is it cool?
And there's a great part where they segue into horror movies. And Joe Rogan didn't know that the Michael Myers mask was William Shatner, and Post Malone told him. But they were doing like who would win in a fight kind of conversation. So you should check it out because it gets pretty. Because they're talking about Chucky, or Chucky versus Jason. You know how Jason keeps surviving. It got really interesting. My ears perked up because I usually have it on in the mornings when we get ready for work. I'm like, wait, you're talking about horror?
Yeah.
But Joe's reaction to him finding out that the mask is modeled after William Shatner, he's just like mind blown. You watch his mind get blown live.
It's like
wow.
Also had the Rob Zombie and the Rick Baker episodes, which are both really good. But it's just when you see his guest list, it's like, who's giving this guy these guests? I get he's funny. I get he beats people up, but there's no way because he competes with late night television with some of these people.
I believe he picks them because his friends usually do make repeat appearances within a year. So the comedians that he socializes with do come on quite a bit.
Yeah.
But then you'll get these random guests, and it just throws you for a loop because it's like I would never imagine that he would be interviewing this person. He's going from Neil deGrasse Tyson to Post Malone.
Totally.
You never know. And the whole time with Post Malone, they're drinking, smoking, and I think they were on some hallucinogenics, which is going on for 4 hours. But it's definitely worth a watch if you want to fast forward it till you start seeing the pictures of the horror movie stuff because it's quite interesting. Because I never thought that Post Malone was a horror fan, but he seems to be. So on that note, I guess we should say good night because we are coming up on the 2 hour mark. So until next time, I'll have you guys on again soon, hopefully.
Right on. I'm down.
Good night, world.
Good night.